This is Gary Panell, and we have our lesson for a second time today because we got cut off halfway through. So we're going to start over with Revelation chapter 14, and try to make it a little bit shorter this time. So if you started watching and it got cut off, well, here we'll just start the whole lesson over again. Revelation 14, 1 Samuel 14, and then Hosea chapter 1. All right. So the thing that we need to understand is that in Revelation chapter 14, God is going through the different ways. It's a midpoint of the tribulation, the different ways that He's getting the gospel out to people. He's a merciful God, a loving God, even during the tribulation. And He wants them to repent and get right with Him and not to worship the beast, which is actually Satan. And so we look at these 144,000 Jews for Jesus, which are like Pauls that are witnessing throughout the earth. And that's where we're starting, that they have done their ministry for the first 3.5 years. And so now they're in heaven rejoicing. And we'll just start there in chapter 4. Oh boy. Okay. So go to Revelation chapter 14 here. Then I looked, and behold, a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of the harpists playing their harps. They sang as it were a new song before the throne, and before the four living creatures and the elders. And they're the only ones that can sing this song, by the way. It's interesting how it's going to be very exciting throughout eternity, all the things that God has planned for us. So they sang before the elders and four living creatures, and no one could learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. These are the ones who were not defiled with women. Okay, no, it's not, saying that women are bad or anything like that. It's saying that they hadn't had any premarital sex or anything. They're living for the Lord and kept themselves for the Lord, and that's what it's talking about. For they are virgins, and men can be virgins also. These are the ones who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits to God and to the Lamb. So after the rapture takes place, these are Jews that realize, okay, God is saying to us that Jesus is the Messiah. These people that were believing in him as their Lord and Savior, they went to heaven in their rapture, just like they said that it would happen. And then they turned to the Lord at the beginning, 144,000 from each 12,000 from each tribe. And so these are all Jews. And in their mouth was found no deceit. Counts with God, and if they do anything wrong, they confess it to God, but they're living for him. They can't be killed, and they're witnesses for him in the first 3.5 years of the tribulation. Now they finished their ministry there in heaven. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth. Okay, so this is the first angel to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people. So God uses three angels, not only the 144,000 to speak to people, but angels flying. This is unusual because God in the past did not usually use angels to witness. Um, but here he is, saying with a loud voice, "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water." And another angel followed, saying, "Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torments ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day and night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. So some people, they say, even evangelicals, well, God's a merciful God and he's going to forgive them no matter what. No, this is a case where it says unpardonable sin. If you take the mark of the beast during the tribulation, that's a sign that you're worshiping him. And you can't go back on that decision. And so they will be judged. All right. And then we continue on in verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Then I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works follow them." So now, everyone at the midpoint of tribulation and on, you are forced to take the mark of the beast. You cannot buy or sell without it, but as soon as they find you, they're going to lop your head off, okay? They'll carry around swords, it seems, and just cut off people's heads that don't have the mark of the beast. But then they go to heaven, and God prepares them, and they're able to come back during the 1,000-year millennial reign and finish their life. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and on the cloud sat one like the Son of Man. That's Jesus. No, it's it's not actually here. I'm sorry. Um, the sat one like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Yes, um, Jesus is starting the judgment. And so I started to say, no, it's just one of the angels. But and then behold, a white cloud, and cloud had sat on it. So this is not one of the angels. This is the Son of Man, which is Jesus, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. So he is in charge of this judging of the unsaved. And before he comes back, even. And another angel came out of the temples, crying out with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, "Thus thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." All right, so Jesus tells the angel to do this, and there is a song that we have that mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He's trampling out the vintage where the wrath of God is stored. So he who sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. Then another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar who had power over fire, And he cried with a loud cry to him who had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. So the angel thrust his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trampled, outside the city, and the blood came out of the winepress up to the horses' bridles for 1,600 furlongs, which that is in Israel, uh, not too far from Jerusalem. There is where the Battle of Armageddon is going to be taking place, and it's going to be so much bloodshed because the nations of the earth have come to fight against each other. But then also, when Jesus is coming back to the earth, they turn on all to fight against him, and God is going to slay them with the sword of his mouth. And there's other passages that talks about how their eyes will just melt in their head, and they stand nothing before. There's no way they can stand before God and beat him. He speaks the word, and they're destroyed. So I went over Revelation rather quickly there. First time, I spent more time in Revelation chapter 14, but we were cut off, and so we are going over the same study again, but we're in now 1 Samuel chapter 14, and we'll listen to that. After that, we'll get into Hosea chapter 1 after a background on that. So let's start here. 1 Samuel chapter 14.
Chapter 14. Now it happened one day that Jonathan the son of Saul said to the young man who bore his armor, Come, let us go over to the Philistines' garrison that is on the other side. But he did not tell his father. And Saul was sitting in the outskirts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree which is in Migron. The people who were with him were about 600 men. The Lord's priest in Shiloh was wearing an ephod. But the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. Between the passes by which Jonathan sought to go over to the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp rock on one side and a sharp rock on the other side. And the name of one was Bozez, and the name of the other Seneh. The front of one faced northward opposite Michmash, and the other southward opposite Gibeah. Then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, Come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing restrains the Lord from saving by many or by few. So his armor-bearer said to him, Do all that is in your heart. Go then, here I am with you according to your heart. Then Jonathan said, Very well, let us cross over to these men, and we will show ourselves to them. If they say thus to us, Wait until we come to you, then we will stand still in our place and not go up to them. But if they say thus, Come up to us, then we will go up, for the Lord has delivered them into our hand, and this will be a sign to us. So both of them showed themselves to the garrison of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, Look, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden. Then the men of the garrison called to Jonathan and his armor-bearer and said, Come up to us, and we will show you something. Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, Come up after me, for the Lord has delivered them into the hand of Israel. And Jonathan climbed up on his hands and knees with his armor-bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan. And as he came after him, his armor-bearer killed him. That first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was about 20 men within about half an acre of land. And there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. The garrison and the raiders also trembled, and the earth quaked, so that it was a very great trembling. Now the watchmen of Saul and Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and there was the multitude melting away, and they went here and there. Then Saul said to the people who were with him, Now call the roll and see who is gone from us. And when they had called the roll, surprisingly, Jonathan and his armor-bearer were not there. And Saul said to Ahijah, Bring the ark of God here. For at that time the ark of God was with the children of Israel. Now it happened, while Saul talked to the priest, that the noise which was in the camp of the Philistines continued to increase. So Saul said to the priest, Withdraw your hand. Then Saul and all the people who were with him assembled, and they went to the battle. And indeed every man's sword was against his neighbor, and there was very great confusion. Moreover, the Hebrews who were with the Philistines before that time, who went up with them into the camp from the surrounding country, they also joined the Israelites who were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise, all the men of Israel who had hidden in the mountains of Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, they also followed hard after them in the battle. So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle shifted to Bethaven. And the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had placed the people under oath, saying, Cursed is the man who eats any food until evening, before I have taken vengeance on my enemies. So none of the people tasted food. Now all the people of the land came to a forest, and there was honey on the ground. And when the people had come into the woods, there was the honey dripping. But no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard it that was in his hand, and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his countenance brightened. Then one of the people said, Your father strictly charged the people with an oath, saying, Cursed is the man who eats food this day. And the people were faint. But Jonathan said, My father has troubled the land. Look now, how my countenance has brightened, because I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found. For now, would there not have been a much greater slaughter among the Philistines? Now they had driven back the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon. So the people were very faint. And people rushed on the spoil and took sheep, oxen, and calves and slaughtered them on the ground, and the people ate them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, Look, the people are sinning against the Lord by eating with the blood. So he said, You have dealt treacherously. Roll a large stone to me this day. Then Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and say to them, Bring me here every man's ox and every man's sheep. Slaughter them here and eat, and do not sin against the Lord by eating with the blood. So every one of the people brought his ox with him that night and slaughtered it there. Then Saul built an altar to the Lord. This was the first altar that he built to the Lord. Now Saul said, Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and plunder them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatever seems good to you. Then the priest said, Let us draw near to God here. So Saul asked counsel of God, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Will you deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he did not answer him that day. And Saul said, Come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. For as the Lord lives, who saves Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But not a man among all the people answered him. Then he said to all Israel, You be on one side, and my son Jonathan and I will be on the other side. And the people said to Saul, Do what seems good to you. Therefore Saul said to the Lord God of Israel, Give a perfect lot. So Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between my son Jonathan and me. So Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what you have done. And Jonathan told him and said, I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand. So now I must die. Saul answered, God do so and more also, for you shall surely die, Jonathan. But the people said to Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who has accomplished this great deliverance in Israel? Certainly not. As the Lord lives, not one hair of his head shall fall to the ground, for he has worked with God this day. So the people rescued Jonathan, and he did not die. Then Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. So Saul established his sovereignty over Israel, and fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, against the people of Ammon, against Edom, against the kings of Zobah, and against the Philistines. Wherever he turned, he harassed them. And he gathered an army and attacked the Amalekites, and delivered Israel from the hands of those who plundered them. The sons of Saul, the name of the firstborn Merab, and the name of the younger Michal. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. Now there was fierce war with the Philistines all the days of Saul. And when Saul saw any strong man or any valiant man, he took him for himself.
Okay.